There is a silence most people never talk about, not the silence of a quiet night, not the silence of peace, but the silence that comes when everything inside you stops. No voice, no desire, no light, just stillness. You wake up, but it feels like you didn't. The sun might rise, but it doesn't touch you. You walk through the day like a shadow of yourself. Your smile trained, your voice rehearsed, your eyes hollow. People ask, "How are you?" And you say good, because good is easier than "I don't know anymore." Because sometimes the truth is too heavy to explain. Because sometimes you don't even know what went wrong. It just hurts. And the worst part, you think you're the only one. You scroll through pictures, smiles, success, people who seem to have it figured out, and you wonder why your soul feels so far behind. You wonder, when did I stop believing in myself? When did the fire go out? When did I become a stranger to my own dreams? And then the guilt comes, like waves. You hate feeling ungrateful. You tell yourself others have it worse. You try to snap out of it. You try to be positive. But none of it works. Because this isn't about weakness. This isn't about laziness. This is about weight. The invisible kind that crushes you from the inside. And nobody sees. The kind that wraps around your lungs, steals your breath, drowns your voice, while the world keeps spinning. You feel like you're falling behind in a race you never wanted to run. You feel ashamed for needing rest, for being tired, for not being okay. And so, you disappear, little by little, not from the world, maybe, but from yourself. But listen to me now. This moment, this still, dark, suffocating silence, this is not the end of your story. This is the place where something greater begins. This is the soil where strength grows. This is the part where the world may have forgotten you. But you remember yourself. Falling doesn't always look like crashing. Sometimes, it looks like fading. It's not one big moment. It's 1,000 tiny ones, quiet compromises, silent defeats, smiles you fake until you forget how your real one felt. You didn't fall all at once. No. You bent. You broke. You bled quietly while telling the world, "I'm fine." You stopped dreaming, not because you didn't want more, but because you were tired of disappointment whispering back. You stopped trying, not because you didn't care, but because it felt like nothing changed no matter how much you gave. You stopped speaking, not because you had nothing to say, but because it felt like no one really heard you. And slowly, day by day, you stopped being you. But here's the truth no one tells you. Falling is not failure. It's part of being human. You fell because you cared too much, because you tried too hard, because you gave pieces of yourself to people, places, and dreams that didn't give back. And now you're empty. Not because you were weak, but because you were brave enough to love, to try, to believe. And that's not shameful. That's sacred. Yes, you are tired. Yes, you are hurting. Yes, you are lost. But look closer. Falling doesn't always look like crashing. Sometimes, it looks like fading. It's not one big moment. It's 1,000 tiny ones, quiet compromises, silent defeats, smiles you fake until you forget how your real one felt. You didn't fall all at once. No, you bent, you broke, you bled quietly while telling the world, "I'm fine." You stopped dreaming, not because you didn't want more, but because you were tired of disappointment whispering back. You stopped trying, not because you didn't care, but because it felt like nothing changed, no matter how much you gave. You stopped speaking, not because you had nothing to say, but because it felt like no one really heard you. And slowly, day by day, you stopped being you. But here's the truth no one tells you. Falling is not failure. It's part of being human. You fell because you cared too much, because you tried too hard, because you gave pieces of yourself to people, places, and dreams that didn't give back. And now you're empty. Not because you were weak, but because you were brave enough to love, to try, to believe. And that's not shameful. That's sacred. Yes, you are tired. Yes, you are hurting. Yes, you are lost. But look closer. Even in this lowest place, your heart still beats. Even after everything, you're still here. And that means something. It means there's a spark left, faint maybe, hidden under rubble and ash, but it's there. And if there's a spark, then there's a way forward. You don't have to climb mountains today. You don't have to fix everything. You just have to stand up once more, even if it's shaky, even if you fall again, even if you're scared. Because falling isn't the end. It's the part that makes rising mean something. So breathe. Feel that breath? That's your power returning. That's life reminding you. You're not finished. You don't need to be the strongest in the room. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up for yourself. Even broken. Even tired. Even unsure. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "Not today. I won't quit today." And if you say that again tomorrow and the day after, you'll look back one day and realize you didn't just survive, you rebuilt. The hardest thing in the world isn't starting over, it's facing yourself. We avoid mirrors not because we don't like how we look, but because sometimes we're afraid of what we'll see beneath the surface. Because beneath the smiles, the clothes, the practiced lines, there is someone we've forgotten, buried you. You've become a stranger to your own eyes, not because you chose to disappear, but because life, in its cold, relentless grind, pushed you aside piece by piece. And when no one was looking, you stopped looking too. The person touches the mirror slowly, like touching a version of themselves they don't recognize anymore. But listen to me. The person staring back at you, that's not a failure. That is someone who has survived every single bad day. That is someone who kept going, even when everything inside screamed, "Stop." That reflection? It's tired, yes, worn down maybe, but it's real, and real is beautiful. Not polished, not perfect, but powerful, because it endured. You have been through more than you admit. People saw your wins, but they never saw your wounds. They saw the smile, but not the nights you cried into your pillow, the days you forced yourself out of bed, the moments you questioned your entire existence. But now you look in that mirror and you remember. You're still here. Not because life made it easy, but because deep inside, even on the days you didn't believe in yourself, some small part of you refused to die, and that is worth honoring. It's time to stop hiding from your own reflection. Look at that face, those eyes, that jawline clenched from too many held-back tears. That's a warrior. No medals, no stage, no applause, just you and your refusal to stay broken. You don't need to become anyone else. You don't need to chase perfection. You only need to remember who you are. Because you were never meant to be like everyone else. You were built for more, not louder, not flashier, deeper, stronger, truer. This moment, this stillness, it isn't the end. It's the return, not to who you used to be, but to the version of yourself that's been waiting. Through every storm, through every fall, through every silent scream. So look at yourself now. Really look, not with shame, not with judgment, with honor, because you've earned it. You are not your fear. You are not your failures. You are not your fatigue. You are the one who lived, and you are still rising. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no thunderclap, no choir singing, no sudden burst of clarity. The return of purpose is quiet, like a breeze that moves your hair, like the sun that warms your face after days of cold, like the whisper inside that says, maybe, just maybe, I'm not finished yet. You remember a moment, a dream you once held in your hands. Maybe it was a place you wanted to see, a story you wanted to write, a change you wanted to become. But over time, life made you trade those dreams for survival. You didn't let them go, you simply tucked them away. Hidden, safe, forgotten but not dead. Never dead. It's still there. That part of you that wanted more. That part of you that believed you could be more. And no matter how long it's been, no matter how far you've drifted from that version of yourself, you can still return, because the spark inside you isn't gone. It's only waiting. Waiting for you to stop running from your own heartbeat. Waiting for you to stop judging yourself by how fast others are moving. Waiting for you to listen again. You don't have to know the whole path. You don't need every step planned out. All you need is one step, one act of courage, one quiet yes, a whisper of, I don't know how, but I will try again. That's how it begins, with effort, not motivation, with movement, not perfection, with a heart that says, even if it hurts. I still believe there's something beautiful waiting for me, and there is, not because the world owes it to you, but because you were meant to shape the world around you. Every time you take a step, no matter how small, you are rewriting your story, not the one written in pain, not the one the world tried to hand you, but your story, the comeback, the breakthrough, the moment everything changes, not outside, but inside. You begin to speak differently, walk differently, think differently. Not because life gets easier, but because you are getting stronger. Your voice returns, your soul stirs, your hands build again, and with every heartbeat, you fan that spark into fire. You don't need a miracle. You don't need all the answers. You just need to protect that spark, because once it burns, there's no turning back. There's something sacred about the climb. It's not elegant, it's not easy, it's not clean, it's sweat and tears, and the sting of muscle that forgot what it meant to move. But in every ache, there is progress. In every struggle, there is purpose. In every breathless push forward, there is proof you are becoming. This is not the version of you that floats through life untouched. This is the version that fought for every inch of light. You climbed with broken bones no one saw. You moved when your heart screamed, "Stay down." You kept going when you had every excuse to quit, and now you're no longer walking in fear. You're walking in truth, because you've learned something the world can't teach. Pain is not your prison. It is your birthplace. The place where illusions die, and you are finally born. Look at you. You are rising. Not because the mountain got shorter, but because your legs got stronger. Your lungs expanded. Your heart learned the rhythm of resilience. And now you remember who you are. There will be days you feel the weight again, the silence, the shadows, the question, why am I doing this? And in those moments, return to this truth. You are not chasing a finish line. You are becoming the fire itself. This is your becoming, your unfolding, your roar in the storm. You've cried. You've fallen. You've begged the sky for answers. And yet, you keep going. Not because it's easy, but because you finally believe you're worth the fight. You once stood in silence. You once whispered, I can't do this anymore. Now you stand in power. You whisper, I was made for this. Because this climb, it isn't just a comeback, it's your awakening. You're not a broken version of who you used to be. You are something entirely new, not less, but more raw, more real, more you than ever before. So climb, crawl if you must, fall, rise, fall again, but never stop, because the world may forget your name, but you will never forget your fire, and that is how you win.